Eden is going to surprise us a little bit today. So we're really looking forward to your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Eden.
Thanks, Eve. Hello, everyone. Wonderful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to present. I have got the very exciting topic of digitising maintenance. And I'm going to talk about what is possible and what is coming next. My name's Eden Shirley, and I'm the founder and Managing Director of AutoGuru. So back in 2022, well, slightly earlier actually, because it took us a while to build it, but we set about with the mission to digitise fleet maintenance in Australia, and it has extended to New Zealand. And at the time, when a fleet vehicle goes into a service centre for a service, it was a very manual process for that service manager to get an authorisation, because the driver is typically not paying for the service. So they would pick up the telephone, they would call a fleet management company, they would give them a quote, get an authorisation and do that work. If there was anything else that needed to be done, they'd probably have to call back again. And then at the very end, they'd have to call a third time, or potentially a third time, and provide an invoice and hopefully get paid in the next 30 to 60 days. We created a digital portal that allows a service provider to log in, create a digital quote 24/7, submit that to a fleet controller at an FMC, and get a faster approval and a faster payment. So where are we today? There are 15 fleet management companies in Australia and New Zealand that we consider to be the leaders. Of those, we've got 8 actively trading on the platform already. We now have 3 more onboarding, and there are 4 at various stages of assessing us. This group represents over 1 million vehicles. Servicing the 8 that are live, we have grown our supplier network to 12,000 individual rooftops. All the major groups, all the OEMs. We've got roughly 10,000 in Australia and roughly 2,000 in New Zealand. And the whole platform is underpinned by a big data solution we call MIC. And MIC is plumbed into the government databases to enable us to do rego to VIN to clearly specify the vehicle. We've got access to live and dynamic service and repair times data from the OEMs. We have OEM and aftermarket parts. And we have over 20,000 SKUs for tyres from all manufacturers. And we have historical data for 36,000 model IDs. We don't book 36,000 different vehicles online. There's over 10,000, though, that have been booked. And all of this is combined with behavioural data. Each FMC has their own rules, their own way of looking at each job. It's connected to their internal systems and how they process. We can access vehicle history. We can access parts pricing. And in fact, we've measured over 800 million different part price changes over a 10-year period. The business didn't start in 22. And we also collect tyre and tread and brake depths, and we monitor what the fleet controllers themselves are approving. All of this provides a digital scrutiny process that is incredibly efficient. When a service provider logs into the digital portal and they create a quote, MIC pre-prices it for them based on their agreed labour rates and parts markups with each FMC. Every supplier can manage their relationship individually with every FMC on the platform. Now, they can edit that quote, but when they submit it, it goes to the MIC data engine, it gets assessed. If that job meets criteria, we can give that an instant approval. But if we notice anything about the job that we think requires human oversight, then we'll push it to the fleet controller queue, and the fleet controller, in simple terms, can assess the job and either approve it with no changes, or push it back to the service provider for changes. The user experience that we have created with this platform is beautiful. It's detailed, it's granular. You know, every job has the labour and the parts and everything included broken down. Now, a service provider can edit these, but they know that the MIC engine understands what the cost of these things are. And when they submit that job to the fleet management company, we can again assess it. And if nothing's changed, it's tick, tick, tick all the way. But if somebody changes anything, for example, the labour time or the price on a part, we can put a little yellow flag on that and bring it to the fleet controller's attention. It's incredibly powerful. It gives them the ability to approve or reject, request changes, or push it to a higher authority. In Australia, the platform is growing exponentially. We are now approaching, by the end of this year, we will hit 70,000 work orders a month, which has a commercial value of about 60 million. And the service providers love it. The reason they love it is because the manual way, the way that it's done or was done in Australia, averages about 25 minutes. Yeah, you've got 2 phone calls, you've typically got a wait time. I am sympathetic to the FMCs because a lot of calls come in the morning, a lot of calls come in the afternoon. We've managed to get that process down to under 3 minutes from creating a quote to getting feedback, which is an extraordinary. I mean, we're currently sitting at about 46,000 transactions a month. So that's an extraordinary increase in benefit, which naturally also benefits the fleet controller and their customers and drivers. Okay, so the initial benefits, 98% of the quotes are now created online by the service provider. Yeah, so that's no phone call. We have consistency and transparency in the maintenance cost, and that allows the fleet controller to focus on the jobs that they need to look at, and it allows us to auto-approve some jobs that meet criteria. And all of this creates efficiency gains for the FMC, for their client, for the supplier, and everybody in the value chain. So that baseline enables us to do some new and pretty exciting things. So the FMCs are hyper-motivated to add value to their customers. Yeah? How can they use technology to be able to enhance the efficiency and operation of their customer fleets? And so now we're in a position, because we've got this digital baseline, that we can start to introduce technology that sits inside of the FMC's client portal itself. So if we bring in the fleet manager, who's not our client, they're our customer's client, and the driver, we can start to do some very cool things. So what you're looking at here, I don't want you to think of it as a product. I want you to think of it as a capability. But the idea to give a customer visibility on their fleet. So the FX in the top left corner is a fictitious fleet logo. But that could be any FMC that you know, and next car is their client. And their client has this portfolio of vehicles. And we can not only give them oversight and the ability to dive in to see more about each of those vehicles, we can integrate telematics or fuel data, and we can introduce the concept of booking car servicing and repairs online, which to the best of my knowledge is still very basic. Most people do it with an online inquiry form. We can dive into any asset and see a full history of its services and repairs. And we are actually a booking company. So we built a booking engine for car servicing over a decade ago, and we are going to do it in the fleet industry for the first time. So when I sit back for a second and I answer the brief from an FMC, how can you help me create value for my customers? Portfolio oversight, digital logbooks, telemetry, and live diagnostics combined give us the data we need to automate service reminders and trigger events. Yep, that becomes proactive. We can schedule maintenance online. We can build better downtime reporting that's actionable. We can respond to factory recalls and potentially even roll in roadside assist and towing. Okay, so everyone's talking about AI, and obviously the latest trend is definitely agents. Agents are a fantastic and interesting adaptation of technology. They can potentially deal with some of the mundane tasks and the repetitive requests that we see every day. Some great user cases: scheduling services, chasing overdues. You know, a vehicle breaks down, we might need to ring multiple service providers to see if we could get that vehicle in the same day. Booking inspections or rego renewals, odometer updates, driver checks, factory recalls. Imagine if we had agentic AI when the Takata airbag thing went off. And in Australia, there's this concept of grey fleet. I haven't heard it talked about in Asia, but it's a huge consideration in the Australian markets. So I'm about to do a live AI booking. Now, please remember, we haven't commercialised this technology here, so I believe there's going to be a call from America to Australia to Singapore to Thailand. So if anything goes wrong, let me know. But what you're looking at here is actually a live platform we've built. Fleet X is our fictitious fleet. Client A is our fictitious client. This is their portfolio. We've got a Hilux that's overdue for service. Pretend you're the fleet manager clicking this, and I am the driver of that Hilux. So we click schedule service. We were going to do a live demo, but it was easier to just show you the screens. My partner, Barry, is going to fire up the engine, and hopefully I'm about to receive a call. Hello, Eden speaking. Sorry.
Your fleet man. Just getting in touch to help schedule the next service for your Toyota Hilux. Do you have a quick moment now to chat about that?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, it's a bit awkward with the tech.
Great to hear. Our records show that your last service was with Toyota Southside. Are you happy to go back to them for this service?
Yeah, those guys are fantastic. Thank you.
Perfect. Now, looking ahead to next week, our records show that Toyota Southside has good availability on Thursday the 19th or Friday the 20th. Do either of those days work for you to drop the car off?
Actually, I'm overseas at the moment. Could I come in the Friday the week after?
Of course, no problem at all. That would be Friday the 27th of June. Does that work for you? And if you'd like, the earliest drop-off time I can arrange is 8 a.m.
Actually, I've got to drop the kids off at school. Could I come in at 10?
Got it. 10 a.m. on Friday the 27th of June works perfectly. I'll lock that in for you. While I'm at it, do you need anything else done while the vehicle is at the workshop?
Yeah, I'm not confident with the quality, the charge in the battery. Could you get someone to look at that for me?
Absolutely. I'll note that down to have the battery charge checked during the service. Will you be getting picked up from the workshop, or would you like us to arrange transport for you?
Oh, I'd love a loan car if you got one available.
Unfortunately, there aren't any courtesy cars available at the moment, but I can arrange either an Uber voucher or a spot on the courtesy bus for you. Which would you prefer?
I'd love an Uber voucher. Will you charge me for that?
Not at all. The Uber voucher is completely covered. No charge to you. I'll arrange that for your drop-off at 10 a.m. on Friday the 27th of June. You'll also get a confirmation once everything's booked in. Anything else I can help with today?
No, that's great, Mick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about the shakes. I don't know why. That was a pleasant experience, yeah? And it's only getting better. Now, I could tell it was an AI, but fundamentally, the system will now go off and call the service provider with all the details I just gave it. The AI knew my name, my vehicle, and my previous service. It's fully plumbed into our system. It asked me if I was happy to book the previous workshop I'd booked, which I was. If I wasn't, it would have offered me some solutions or some alternatives, which would go back to the fleet controller for approval. It offered real availability and adapted to my preferences. It asked me if I needed anything else checked, and it asked me if I had transport. I'm pretty happy with that. What is really cool is it will now ring the workshop and ask them to log in to AutoGuru, where the workshop will find the full job priced and ready to approve. Now, they can modify the quote, they can modify the date. Technically, they could decline the job, but as far as efficiency goes, we are now in a position where a fleet manager has clicked a button and received confirmation in their system, probably within 10 minutes, that the vehicle is scheduled, which is a huge step forward. This sort of technology sets us up for two key milestones, which everybody asks us about: downtime management and predictive maintenance. Downtime management is not as easy as it sounds, but we already have advanced asset identification. We have just started to track the start and end times of these jobs. We are now categorising, because we care very much about structured data, all of the types of scenarios that cause downtime, whether known or intended versus reactive, a breakdown or something unplanned. And we're changing our system to be able to integrate voice, AI assistance and data capture at the fleet manager level, at the fleet controller level, at the service provider level, and the driver level. That's the base foundation that we need to be able to truly report on duration and frequency in a dashboard. That's the data we need to be able to start to analyse a root cause of downtime. And it's through that and further investigation by the fleet manager that we can then summarise with AI and give the FMC and their client the data that they need to do a true impact assessment. And the holy grail, predictive maintenance. I hear about this one get talked about all the time, and I spend a lot of time thinking about it. Data collection is the foundation of predictive maintenance, no doubt. Digitisation is necessary to do this dynamically. So we definitely need, obviously, all the things that we've got. Even if you don't have a fleet management software, as long as the maintenance records are being centralised in a data lake, as long as we can integrate, if it's available, onboard sensors, diagnostics, telematics, even driver behaviour, we can start to build a clean data model which is necessary to do anything predictive. So the net result is we need to identify the indicators, enable real-time data feeds, and then we pull out the machine learning. And we're interested in the maintenance plans, we're interested in, the repairs, and we're certainly interested in live availability and resource optimization. That's how we will get to a true predictive model. So I'm going to close out by saying a couple of quick things. The moonshots that we're looking at, and by moonshots I mean what are the aspirational outcomes of our technology roadmap? We certainly want to build a global network. We believe that Asia is prime for digitisation. Not only do you have rich cultural diversity, you've actually got the complexity of a multi-region solution and customers that are operating in multiple markets. We want to be able to connect with the vehicles. The only way we'll do that is by having enough scale that the manufacturers lean in. We obviously want dynamic decisioning, and we want to build a conversational architecture. We need this to be multilingual. We need this to be voice. We need it to be on a mobile. And we need live availability. We need to know when we can get those vehicles looked at, and it's got to be efficient. And this will all result in a proactive solution. I strongly believe this, and I'm aligned with the theme, working together, We can digitise maintenance. It's how we did it in Australia and New Zealand, and I believe that that's the path here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eden. Thank you very much. Great to have you and your presentation. Artificial intelligence, yes, it is with us today, and you don't need to be scared. It can even help you. We have seen that with the call of Eden, and thanks to AutoGuru. Thank you very